Whether you're a complete beginner or a seasoned meal prepper looking to up your game, with over a decade of meal prepping experience, this is your guide through the must-haves and hidden gems of meal prep supplies. Stick around for the end of the video where I'll share my top 5 essential supplies for starting out. Hello all of you beautiful, busy people. If you are looking to optimize your time, save money, or achieve a fitness or nutrition goal, meal prepping is the ultimate life hack that can bring more order and attainability to those aspirations. Whatever your unique motivation, the most challenging part of meal prepping is usually knowing where to start. So, welcome to the very first video of our Get Started Meal Prep series, where we'll kick things off with the fundamental piece of the puzzle, meal prep supplies. By the end of this video, you'll have a clear roadmap to assemble your very own meal prep inventory, and everything we cover in this video can be found in the link in the description below. So let's dive in and get you fully equipped to master meal prepping. But first, be sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss an episode of our meal prep series. With all that said, let's talk supplies. When I first started prepping freezer dinners, I was using gallon Ziploc baggies, which worked perfectly fine, but when I started prepping multiple weeks or about 40 to 50 meals at a time, I started looking for a more sustainable solution for freezer storage. I tried out a few different brands of reusable silicone bags and had a few crack down the seams, some were difficult to clean, and some just held on to smells. But then I found this brand called SPLF, which I've been using for over 2 years now. They are by far my favorite silicone bags I've tried out, and they also have different sizes, which is really helpful for freezing meats, veggies, or smoothie ingredients in portions. For labeling the bags with the recipe and date, I found that the Arteza dry erase markers work the best with these bags and are easiest to clean off when compared to other dry erase brands, which leave a little more residue behind. For cleaning, these are freezer and dishwasher safe, but I do hand wash mine with the soft side of a sponge and some Dawn Platinum dish soap, and then air dry them upside down on my bag holders to extend their lifespan. Which brings me to arguably my favorite meal prep supply I own, my bag holders. These are definitely a nice to have item rather than a necessity, but they do make prepping easier and faster, so I do recommend getting a set of these if you are going to be prepping in bulk. You can prop all of your bags up at once, you aren't going to get any spillage out of your bags, and they work with whatever material or size your bags may be. So I use them with my silicone bags, but they work just as well with Ziploc baggies too. These are actually the product that helped me realize that I could in fact prep multiple weeks at a time, so these are definitely a game changer and I highly recommend keeping a set of these around. The next group of items on my list are definitely hidden gems and in the nice to have category, so not necessary for starting your meal prep journey, but definitely nice to have down the road when you start prepping a wider range of food items. Beginning with the smaller trays, I figured out this ice cube tray hack when my first daughter started eating solids. I got a ton of these trays and made my own baby food using my food processor and freezing the purees as perfect little 1 ounce baby portion ice cubes. After completely freezing, I would transfer them to glass storage containers and label them with the ingredients and the date. This method was definitely a great introduction for me to the possibilities of bulk freezer prepping, and it was also a huge way to save money, especially since baby food, and specifically organic baby food, is so expensive to buy. You can also use these ice cube trays for freezing fresh herbs and oils, freezing coffee for ice cubes that don't water your coffee down, or really for prolonging the life of any smaller ingredient that you use often and don't want it to go to waste. Another portion freezer tray that I absolutely love, especially during this time of year, is the soup tray. These trays have 4 portions and there are measurements on the inside of the trays for portion control, which also doubles as a helpful measurement when you are planning your grocery list for prepping in bulk. So when prepping soup, when you are done making it, cool it down to room temperature and then ladle it into the trays up to the measurement on the inside. Make sure to not overfill these because as they freeze, they're going to expand and those measurements are in there to keep these from expanding out of their container as they freeze. After placing in the freezer for about 24 hours, they will be frozen solid and are good to stay in these containers in the freezer for about 3 months, depending on your ingredients. And since these are made out of silicone, it is really, really easy to remove the frozen blocks of soup when you are ready to eat them. This is another hack I've learned over time. If you are using portion freezer trays, look for ones that are either completely made out of silicone or have silicone on the very bottom, because then you are able to manipulate that frozen meal out of the container much easier than if that container were completely solid and you had to twist or in some other way jeopardize the integrity of the container just to remove the contents. And again, these are super easy to clean. Since these are pretty thick material, I just toss these straight into the dishwasher. I use these general storage containers for a lot of different things. Sometimes I prep lunches for the week to leave in the refrigerator. Sometimes I'll store portioned veggies to pair with a freezer dinner that week. And I also sometimes store portioned fresh pastas like tortellini and ravioli. We'll dive further into these containers and lunch prep in general in another video, but for now, add these to your nice to have list and know that you can absolutely start your meal prep journey without these. I don't want to spend too much time going over these extras because while they are helpful with prepping and cooking in general, they're not essential items, and for the most part, you likely have most of them already laying around your kitchen. These items include a vegetable peeler, a cheese grater, a can opener, a thermometer, a spatula, a whisk to incorporate all ingredients together after combining in your prep bags, and finally, mason jars. Now, mason jars are not an essential item to start prepping, but their versatility is pretty hard to beat once you start experimenting with long-term food storage. You can store these at room temperature for pickling, storing dry goods, and portioning snacks, and you can also store sauces and juices in them in the refrigerator for short-term use or store in the freezer for months at a time. Which brings us to the top 5 essential items that I would recommend if you are just starting out. Number 1 is a decent knife. I say decent because if you are bulk prepping, you are going to be cutting a lot. And a higher quality knife is going to make that process easier, quicker, and most importantly, more comfortable for you. The biggest upgrade I've made over my decade of prepping was definitely purchasing a better knife. Before each use, we quickly use a honing rod, which keeps the edge of the blade at the correct angle, which over time results in not needing to sharpen the blade as often. Number 2 is a cutting board. Our cutting board was gifted by a family friend a few years ago, and I absolutely love it. As for recommendations, honestly, any cutting board will do here. If you are starting out, this is one area you should definitely not throw extra money at. You could even pick up one at your local dollar store, and that would work perfectly fine for all of your prep needs. Number 3 is measuring cups. If you don't currently have any, I would recommend getting the solid measuring cups because the solid and liquid cups have the same measurements, they're just designed for different consistencies. But again, to cut down on cost and clutter, for the sake of starting out, a small set of solid measuring cups are perfect. Number 4 is a scale. You could probably get away with not picking up a scale as one of your first essential items, but I personally rely heavily on my scale, especially to portion meats correctly, since it is surprisingly difficult just to eyeball portioning meats or really anything that might be too large to accurately measure with a measuring cup. And you want to make sure that you are dividing equally between your preps. Number 5 is a set of bowls. Whether they are glass or stainless steel, it doesn't matter. You're going to want bowls for mixing ingredients together, for holding chopped vegetables to divide into multiple preps, and you can also use a large bowl as a prep pack if you do not have bag holders. And that is it. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any prep questions, recipes you want me to try out, or if you already prep and have your own recommendation for your favorite supplies, feel free to leave a comment below and we will see you soon.